Oh, glad to see you kids here. As we talked about in our counseling sessions, and at your request, I have a 7-point sermon, PowerPoint, handout for everybody. So we'll let the fireworks begin. As we share today, there are some thoughts that we talk about these things in counseling, so I will just repeat them. And there are 7 pillars of wisdom for a solid marriage. So I share these again with you because I know that sometimes you weren't listening really well at the counseling sessions. You were with blue eyes and dog eyes and whatever. And besides, they thought that maybe some of the rest of us could learn. So we're going to talk about the first thing. A pillar is that of faith in the person and promises of God. When we talk about that, we talk about how that God has made promises, and in His Word, He's given those promises, because faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the Word of God. And to walk by faith with Jesus in the days that He has ordained for you, you have to do that by listening, putting your ear near to the heart of God. But you do that through listening to His Word, and then obeying what He says. The second thing is that of the fear of the Lord. The Bible says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Sarah, you used that verse once to go to camp a long time ago, didn't you? Fortunately, you got to camp often enough, and pretty soon you met in. Well, then listen, the fear of the Lord means to be able then to understand that everything that you do and say, God is listening and watching, and He desires for you then to walk again according to His Word, His precepts. But the fear of the Lord isn't just to revere Him, even though that's really what it means. And it means sometimes even to quake in your very shoes. It means that. Sometimes it means to really be so afraid that you would go against what you know God has said, that you would be fearful. And so, in this solemn occasion, vows and share those things together. The fear of the Lord is a mighty, powerful thing. The third thing is the fellowship with God and with each other. Fellowship is a word that means to be in partnership, share life together, to carry the burdens and share the delights as well. But to be in fellowship with each other, literally, it means fellow oarsmen. I don't know if you go out on boats very often. It means that you hopefully are going in the same direction. That you don't let your oars then compete with each other, but rather to dip into the waters of life with God's blessing and you're working together. The fourth thing is in the middle. Perhaps it's one of those key things that God uses to cement all relationships well beyond what we could ever ask or think. That word, if you remember, is the word forgiveness. I've been married almost 37 years. Forgiveness is something that I've learned to receive. I've also learned that sometimes I need to forgive, but it's been more on the other side. Forgiveness is something that, because God has forgiven us, we are able to forgive one another. And so when you understand on this day, everything's perfect, but tomorrow it may not be. 3 years down the road, 7 years down the road, everything might not be perfect. But forgiveness is such a powerful thing that it sets you free from everything that could hinder you and stumble you on into the future to the promises that we make in each other. The fifth thing is family. Some of the folks are saying, we're family. They just want to get closer to the front. Don't ever tell me that. I began to lead them out. I had a bouncer knowing that the ushers in the back there to verify that people really were family. But you know what? We really are all family here today, and friends as we gather as family. I'm encouraging you from this day that you don't ever neglect the family. You start with yourselves, but you don't neglect your parents, and you don't neglect the extended family, because they're the people that stand by you in everything. And so when you think about your family, and you think about how